All right, so good evening, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday night, April 7th here, and welcome, as I say a lot. Welcome to FaceTime with Todd Wharton. I'm having a great time right now, and I'm just overwhelmed with the amount of great guests that have been on. As you can hear, I'm choking up because I just got some pretty cool news. Um, and I can't share it right now, but I'm going to enjoy the moment. I see my guest is already here, and we're going to bring him on in a little bit. But let's talk about a few things right now. First of all, I want to give it up to this logo right here. This is Believe in You. Believe in You Incorporated is a really good friend of mine. It's Colette V. Smith. She was the first female African-American NFL football coach. She was a coach for the New York Jets, and her story is amazing. She chose to lead the NFL to inspire others, especially women in all sports, that anything is possible. Anything is possible. And pretty much the whole terminology of that is anything is possible if you believe in you. So definitely check out this great organization by the founder, Colette V. Smith. She's an inspiration to me and everybody around the NFL and all sports and just in life in general. Go to Believe in You, which is believeinyouincorporated.com. And this lady has defied the odds. Now, speaking of defying the odds, I got a great guest coming on tonight. I'm going to show you a clip of an amazing movie called Love and Dancing, which I've watched a number of times, especially this week. I watched it this week. And I got a clip here that definitely defines the odds because the lady that he's dancing with in the movie is none other than Betty White. Check it out. Going downtown, yeah. Yeah, say we're going downtown. Let's go. We're going down. Oh, we're going downtown. Want to do one more?
Oh, no.
It's always a pleasure.
Well, thank you for dancing with an old lady.
What are you, like 45 now?
I'm 72.
72 years, yeah.
Yeah. I gotta get laid tonight.
What you want? 72 years young. So, guys, I'm about to bring on our guest from that pretty cool clip that we just saw. Let me just bring him in here right now, and we'll chop it up with Mr. Tom Malloy, and we'll go from there. Let me just bring him in, and we'll get it going for you. All right. Where are you, Tommy? All right, we seem to have a little, there we go. I see Tom just logged back in. Let me see if I can bring Tom in. All right, Tom, you just got invited. Just accept the reply, and let's start chopping it up with FaceTime with Todd Wharton, man.
There you go. What's up, brother?
All right, so let's give you a proper intro. So, guys, please welcome actor and newfound director,
Yes.
Mr. Tom Malloy. Tom, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great. Yeah. Thank you for having me on your show.
Not a problem. I saw the little tech thing going on. I'm like, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
But it's so worth it because right now, a lot of your fans are starting to come on. Some of my fans are coming on as well. And they get to know you as a person instead of just the actor behind the scenes. And I have to ask you something, man. First of all, we're going to get into that, but how many times did you have to do that take? Because to have a lady like Betty White just look at you with a straight face, she's like, I feel like getting laid tonight.
It was great. I mean, she was maybe twice. There's such a pro there. And on sets, I'm usually known as one take Tom because I always like kind of bring my A game to take one. And she was, she was just so fantastic to work with. I mean, a legend. And the only times we did a little bit more coverage was when we did some of the dancing, some of the swing dancing. So that was it, just to get some angles that weren't even used in the film. So.
Oh, wow. Because
It's awesome.
you know what it is? Her presence, when she does jokes, she's so spot on. And her face, you just want to just break down laughing because, you know,
Yeah,
you can't see her as an old lady because her spirit is so young. And that was just a
totally.
perfect scene for you two. And it's like,
Yeah.
Amy Smart or Betty White? I don't know. What am I doing right now?
Who would I
You know?
marry? But no, it's yeah, she was. It was a great. I mean, that's a highlight of one of probably the highlight of my career is dancing with Betty White in that movie. I always say it. It's she's a legend. You know, just to be able to say that stuff. There's certain things in life that you could point to and be like, I'm never going to be able to do that again, or you could say years from now, you did it, and it's like partying at the Playboy Mansion. I'm not trying to hold that over anybody, but being there and now it's gone. Like there's nobody just to say like whatever the 4 or 5 times I was there. It's like there is no Playboy Mansion anymore, and so that was a kind of cool thing. And just things in life that you can do, and you could say this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So yeah,
Exactly. And I agree with you. One of my dreams growing up was definitely just to swim in the cave just once at the
the grotto.
Playboy Mansion.
Yeah,
Just something about going into the deep water, popping up. It's like 30
yeah.
beautiful women in there, and I'm the king. You know?
That's awesome. I did. You know what?
Pretty
Of course,
perfect.
we all saw the grotto, and it was there, but I didn't swim in it. Every time I was there, it was like a big dress-up party. So unless I somehow put my swim trunks underneath or went skinny dipping, it wasn't going to happen. So yeah.
You know what? Between me and you, I personally would rather go skinny dipping than wear a Speedo. I'm still not down with these guys wearing Speedos
Oh,
out
really?
there. It's like,
You're
what's
not
the
into the
point?
European look?
Yeah, I'm not into that little banana
Yeah.
hammock thing. I'm just, let's just go right to the thing. So
No,
let's get into you, man. First of all, looking up some info. You're a Jersey boy, and I got a lot of love for Jersey because my
thank
mother's
you.
from Jersey, and you're originally from Red Bank, correct?
I was born in Red Bank. Yep, same as Kevin Smith. Actually, the same hospital, Riverview Hospital. But I only spent the first. Oh, and so cool. Somebody saying they saw my movies and I'm terrific. Wow. Thanks, Mom. I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate you jumping on with me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, thank you, Gina.
I
That
think
was
that's
really sweet.
Gina
Um,
Manisi, yeah.
yeah,
She's
very sweet.
follower.
Yeah, born and raised in Jersey. I mean, Red Bank only lived for a little bit, and then I grew up in Hunterdon County, really farm country Jersey. If you
Mhm.
think about it, because everybody thinks of Jersey as the shore or Newark or something like that, and I grew up in farm country, and I loved it. And anyway, then I went to school in Montclair University in outside of New York City. So I was a Jersey boy until maybe like 23 or so. So yeah.
Which is great though. I mean, especially being in film, a lot of people shoot out to LA, but being in New York, a lot of people are starting to realize that New York has not but it's pretty much equal to the shooting now of a lot of films for the past decades that
Mhm.
New York is really just as compared to LA. It's a different setting, but so many
Well,
opportunities here.
LA will always have more TV. I mean, like there's TV
Well,
in New York. Look, the key is why are there movies in Los Angeles? The initial reason, hi Tyler Acer, the initial reason was the weather. You know what I mean? It's hi Chris. The weather is always perfect. It's raining 10 times a year there, so that was the reason. So you do exteriors, you're
mhm,
doing them in LA versus New York. You never know. And when I moved from New York City to Los Angeles, I was just in heaven for me. Even though I'm an East Coast guy, born and raised, it's like the coolest part is, hey, Charlie, the coolest part is everybody there is in movies. You know what I mean? And I embrace that. LA will always be what you expect it to be. Like if you expect
yeah.
it to be like, it's all fake, that's what you're going to find. But if you expect it to be like your paradise, which I did, it was perfect for me. And like I said, you go into a deli in LA, every single person is talking about movies. You go into New York
Mhm.
City or you go into Jersey, it's like in New York City, it's a doctor, a lawyer, a guy who works in the subway, blah blah blah. In LA, you go into a deli and every single person is talking about movies. So it's like, imagine having a town. I don't think there's many cities besides maybe Nashville for music or Pittsburgh for steel or something like that. It's only known for that one thing, and that's what LA is. So.
Yeah, and it's a little overbearing when you go out there because I've been out there a few times. My brother's out there, and it's just
Hi,
weird
Gabby.
because
Yeah.
it's like sometimes I met people during conversations, and
Mm-hmm.
never met, and I'm not dissing LA because I like LA a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but the young people out there that are aspiring to be actors, singers, whatever, the whole conversation out there was constant resume dropping. it wasn't even a conversation. It was like, you know, they asked me what I did. I said, oh, I do this. And then right away, boom, 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 boom. Like, you know, I'm just trying to get a cup of coffee, man. I wasn't trying to cast anybody.
I did for the record have a homeless guy pitch me on his documentary in a parking lot once, which I was like, oh my God. But I will say that, yes, there's a lot of actors out there that are desperate for work and things. When I moved out there, I had success. So like I just done the movie The Attic with Elizabeth Moss and myself. I had done The Alphabet Killer with Eliza Dushku and Tim Hutton, Carrie Elways. And I moved out to do Love and Dancing with Amy Smart and Betty White and Billy Zane. So immediately we had, you know, we were living in the hills. And so our friends were all successful people. So, and I'm only saying it was like that, meaning we were in the world of newborn kids, but newly married people that just had kids. And so a lot of them were celebrities that you would know and things like that. And we weren't, you know, it wasn't like, hey, what movie are you doing? It was like, you know, hey, could you stop my kid from crying? Or, you know what I mean? Like, what are you guys feeding them? Where do you want to go next week? Like, do you want to have a play date? You know what I mean? Like, it was all that world right away that I kind of fell into, which I really enjoyed and loved. And it was definitely not the desperation actor world. So, yeah. Yeah.
Of course not. And before we continue, as I always do on my show, I want to give it up to Gabby Messina, manager. Thank you for setting this up. She's a sweetheart. If you guys definitely look for somebody, reach out to Gabby. She's part of Serendipity News, I believe it's called, on Instagram. And she's a big promoter. Every time she gets a new star, she always loves to throw it out there. So, you know, thank you, Gabby, for hooking us up. And we appreciate you. Yeah, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Guys,
thank you.
Obviously, follow Tom. Follow Tom, Tom Malloy, with an A, Malloy.
Oh, that's right. Instagram. That's right. You spelled my name wrong the first time, but that's okay. It wasn't like way off. It was Molloy. That wasn't that bad.
Yeah, but you know what it is? I'm very anal, and in the sense that I'm a perfectionist, and since I do a lot of my own graphics and everything, and I research it, and then I go back to read it. It's just frustrating when you miss the typo, and that's when you know you're getting older.
Yeah,
because it's like, wait, is that Y and R? It's like, what is that?
No, it's okay. We all have our things, our getting older things. Mine's more like when I walk into Target or something, and I'm like, wait, what the hell am I doing here? That's my old thing. I walk in, then I get maybe 30 feet in, and then I go, what the hell am I doing here? Like literally, it's gone. Like, and I'm like, all right. So sometimes it comes back to me, or sometimes I just walk around aimlessly and then get the hell out of there. So yeah.
Exactly. I'm glad you said Target, because my little brother says Target. I'm like, listen, dude, until they bring up an upscale Target, I'm always going to call it Target. Like if I walk in Target, I feel like I'm on the Beverly Hills Wives Club or something like that. I'm not doing that.
Look, I am notorious for adding different languages into my own. I've done it. My friends that know that Target is not an actual word, so I'm not using it. But I do say, like over in France, they say Wi-Fi instead of Wi-Fi, and I say Wi-Fi all the time. Like literally, I can't help. I'll be in a place. I'll be like, "Do you guys know the Wi-Fi code?" And then they'll look at me. I'll be like, "The Wi-Fi code?" It's automatic. But I love saying out, and I love saying about. I just love the way they sound. So I like to incorporate other languages, but they have to be real. They have to be, Target is not a real word. It has to be something cool like Wi-Fi. So that's my mission in life, is to get most people to say Wi-Fi. It's just so much more fun to say Wi-Fi than Wi-Fi.
I'm telling you right now, I'm never playing Scrabble with you, because you sound like somebody who's going to make up words and really prove that it's actually a word in a sentence. And I'm going to be like, look it up. And I know the word's going to be in there. I'll be like, I'm not playing with this guy. So
yeah, I got to
go ahead. I looked up. Mm-hmm. You created in 2005. First of all, congratulations. It's been 15 years. But you created your own production company called Trickle Candle Production.
Trick Candle.
Candle Production. Yeah. Where did the name come from that inspired that name? I'm pretty curious about that.
Thanks, man. It's so think about a birthday candle when they put the trick ones where you try to blow out the flame and they just keep coming back. So once I tell people that story, they're like, dude, I get it. You know what I mean? It's that flame that no matter how much wind hits it, nobody's putting that flame out. And so that's where it came from. So, yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much your statement is you're an analogy to the rise of the phoenix in film. Yeah. No matter how many times you think you're down, you got to rise back up and bring out another kick-ass project.
There you go. Hey, man, I think that's a great way to put it. You know, it's like, that's it. It's the flame is never going to go out. Let's put it that way. So.
And the majority of your films that you've been in, a lot of them
Thanks,
you
Charlie.
produced yourself, I'm assuming, correct? Through
I
your
did, you know,
production.
look at, so I'll give you a quick backstory. In 1998, I did a movie called Gravesend, and we shot it on the streets of Brooklyn. It was completely improvised. We would go up to a street corner, there'd be a gang of thugs, and we'd be like, you guys want to shoot a fight scene? They'd be like, yeah, all right, you know, and a big fight would break out. And, but at the end of the day, I was like the second or third biggest role, and we got Oliver Stone to put his name on it, and it was in theaters, right? So that was 98. And I thought I was going to be some household name as an actor. And when I got, you know, that little pop, and I was going against these monster stars, I remember Ryan Felipe used to beat me out for roles, Scott Wolf. They were more established than I was at that time.
Right.
And then I started learning every other aspect of the business. And now, I mean, here's the joke, is that now that's what, well, let me back up and say, I remember I had an agent at the time, and I told her, I'm going to try to be an actor, writer, and producer. And she said, oh, no. You got to focus on one of those three things. And I joke, because that was 20 years ago, I joke that same agent, if you approach her today and said, I just want to be an actor, she'd be like, oh, you got to be all three. You got to be 4 or 5 things. Like, it's completely shifted. So I feel like I was a trailblazer in that world as a triple hyphenate actor, writer, producer. And
Right.
and now I'm adding director to it for this film, Ask Me to Dance, that's coming up. It'll be the first film I'm directing. And thank you for the Quadruple Threat, You're Out movie. And yeah, I mean, so that was it. Look, I've done, now this will be my 17th film produced. I've written 30 plus screenplays. I've options sold or made into movies, 24 of those screenplays. I'm in the Writers Guild 20 years. I have raised over $25 million for financing movies. I wrote the book Bankroll, which was a best-selling book. It was the gold standard book on film financing. And I've starred in a bunch of movies. So, hey, man, just never got a lot of life energy.
I am so impressed. And I was talking to Casey Amos, and I'm like, yo, Casey, we have to bring this guy onto this project because we already got John and some other great actors that want to be on board. And I'm like, we got to bring this guy onto the project because he's like me. Like, I'm a hustler. You know, the reason why I have my concert in Times Square is because I knocked down doors for the last 3 years, and I convinced New York that we need a peace concert, and they loved it.
Yeah.
And now I'm on their speed dial.
That's
I love
great.
your hustle, really do.
By the way, now that's John Amos's son. Yes, by the way, it's funny you say this. I've been to his house. I had a party at his house, and it was just like 2 other couples, and it was my buddy Gabe Jarrett and him are really tight. So how funny is it that I've been to his actual house? And so there it was. I mean, like, just I'll have to remind him if you ever put the 2 of us together. So yeah.
You want to know what it is? Sometimes I look at funny situations as fate.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Serendipitous. Serendipity. There you go. Yeah.
Serendipity, which is actually one of my favorite top 5 movies with John Cusack. And,
it's a sweet movie. I was referring to Gabby's management company, but yes, it is. It's a great movie.
Yes, I was referring to her too.
Yeah.
Like, ignore that, Gabby. Ignore it. We're comparing the 2. They're both great. Serendipity news, serendipity in the movie. I'm just saying.
That's
But,
great.
speaking of your production crew, a lot of the great films that you have been involved in, and when we were speaking offline, I know you've been in this game with your production company for over 15 years. I look at it as you're only just beginning, all right? Because you've been involved in some great projects, and I've seen a lot of production companies as well as actors and directors that have consistently have slowly grown. And that's usually how you really make it in this business, where you constantly are working instead of looking for that big project. Because what happens is you're building your legacy, and then one day you're going to start climbing even faster, and you're doing that, right?
Yeah,
You're not taking the elevator, you're taking the stairs, and I love that about you, man.
Well, thank you. I mean, you know, it's I feel the same way. There was a festival, the Atlantic City Film Festival, or some type of Jersey-ish film festival, gave me a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm not kidding. It was called a Lifesaver Award. And though I was honored to get it, at the same time, it's like, what the hell are you talking? Like, I'm just getting warmed up. You know what I mean? Like, and it was so sweet for them to give it to me. And I think the next year they gave it to the guy from Clerks, not Kevin Smith, the other guy, Dante in the movie. But anyway,
Yeah.
it was like, I just was like, you know, you haven't seen anything yet, but you know, there's a whole future thing. Obviously, I have my company Glasshouse Distribution that sells movies, and that's doing fantastic and growing. And we have a new movie coming up, this Ask Me to Dance, and a whole new group of people that are fantastic. You know, Charlie Shrem, who's on here, a Bitcoin pioneer, Jason Chambers, Courtney Warner. We have a ton of people attached to that movie. Bran Evigan, the star of the Step Up movies, Mario Cantone from Sex and the City. So things are expanding and going great. But finally, with this film, it's like, oh, this is 20 years of connections and drinking till 4 a.m. with, you know, with film distributors and Cannes and you know, it's work, baby. You know, like you're hanging to have fun, but you're working. And all of it seems to be coming together, and it feels just great to just keep grinding forward and putting things together. So yeah.
Well, that's what I noticed, and it took me years to realize that investors, sponsors, people in the industry, they are always watching. You don't know they're watching, but they're watching because they want to see the person that they may want to work with is really the person that they think who they are, meaning that they want to see you succeed by yourself. They want to see you grow, build a product, whether you're an actor or production, because they know when they step into that room with you that they're working with a real hustler, and it's not going to be a headache. And I wish more artists would understand that, because too many people today are trying to go out and get money, get this, get that, but they have no plan. They have no marketing behind it. They have no anything of value that people say, yeah, I would definitely want to invest in you. Just because you have an idea doesn't mean you're worth the investment. And you built that. And speaking of Charlie Shrem, because I did some research on him, and I'm very impressed. Now, he was the co-founder of the company Bit Instant, which is great. And now he's a founding member of the Bitcoin Foundation. That's a huge hookup for you. And I have to say congratulations to that. Really?
Well, yeah, he's a good friend now, and like I said, my buddy Jason Chambers made the introduction, but we hit it off, and you know, he introduced me to Courtney Warner and a couple of other people, and so I think that obviously a pioneer in the field and thinks at a high level, and recognize that I never stop working. I mean, it's like, to me, you know, people will be like, hey, what are you doing this week? Are you gonna have some fun? And I mean, I know now it's COVID. But I'm like, what the hell? Like, fun is me working or going out. Like, it's very tough if you call me, hey, Tom, let's go have drinks. Very tough for me to just say, let's just have drinks for fun. You know what I mean? If you were like, let's go talk about a project, it's like, I'm there. You know, like that's, every aspect of my life has become enjoying, you know, besides my kids, has become enjoying things because it's work, you know, and it's because of putting projects together. But I mean, look, again, 17 movies. When I started producing movies, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, except I was good at raising money, you know, and now it's like, after all these movies, things kind of come and go and curveballs get thrown at you, and you just start to know and have a kind of relaxed attitude towards producing, you know, and towards putting projects together. And, you know, if you ever seen the movie Wag the Dog, if you see Dustin Hoffman's role in that, now he was playing Robert Evans, who's my idol as a producer. And I got to meet Robert Evans. I mean, the producer of The Godfather 1 and 2, Chinatown, Love Story. He took Paramount from the 9th out of 9 to 1 out of 9. So I met him and I was drooling. I mean, he's just a classic character. But in the movie Wag the Dog, Dustin Hoffman is doing an impression of Robert Evans. Everything that comes at him in the movie, he's like, this is nothing. It's nothing. You know, his actor, no, it's nothing. And it's like, that's almost what you do as a producer. You just start to find solutions to everything, and you put stuff together, and that's what makes it fun, and that's really the high experience of making a movie.
Yeah, and I've learned that because I've produced as well. The one thing I learned about being a good producer is you have to be very patient, and you have to be calm, and you have to expect the unexpected, because we all know, especially in films that you're doing, there's always going to be ruffles. There's always going to be ruffles in the feathers every single day.
Yeah.
And as long as you're calm, everybody else around you will be calm, and they're always going to look to you as the person to be like, nah, don't worry about it. Tom's going to take care of it. He probably has the answer for it. It's the ones that freak out all the time, which causes a whole cluster amongst the set. I don't know if you ever dealt with somebody like that.
Well, 100%. You know, it's like I've given, I have that site, Filmmaking Stuff HQ, which is it's one of the biggest filmmaking membership sites where I teach people how to make films. And one of the speeches I give is about the things that you don't want to, mess up on set. Like, I have good catering. Like, that's a huge thing for me. Funny enough, I just talked to the caterer of our movie, of Ask Me to Dance, coming up, and she's amazing, right? So it's like good food. But one of those steps, and I forget the ones off the top of my head, I'll have to look it up. But one of those steps was fire the pissed off crew guy. Because there's always like one crew guy that's just pissed off at the world. He just, he just doesn't want to be there. And he's like, ugh. Now, hopefully I'm gotten to the point in my career where I could kind of identify that before we shoot, but you never know. I mean, I was talking to my friend Ison Robbins and Amy Shove, who were veterans. Sorry, declining a call. They were my mentors, and, maybe 30, 40 movies produced. And we were talking today, and he was talking about a boom operator that just flipped out day one. And, it happens. So you never know. Like, every single movie is a brand new set of challenges. And if you're not ready for those obstacles, and it's almost like you're going into battle. If you're not ready for it, it's gonna put you in the hospital. But I remember, let me tell you a quick story. I remember on my movie, Ashley, which I produced. The film was Dean Ronalds directed, Brian Ronalds produced with me. LGBT movie, sweet film. It was in 13 cities nationwide. Hello, Dale. The story, what happened is, I think it was day 2 or 3, I get a call at 2 a.m. that the sound guy quit, right? 2 a.m. I kid you not, 6:30 was the call time for the next day. So it's 2 a.m, quit, 6:30, actually that same exact day. I mean, so 4.5 hours later. So I got up, splashed water in my face, started texting, making phone calls, put even a post on Mandy.com. Thankfully, one of my buddies was up that is a below-the-line talent agent, and we had somebody there, and we started, right? Like, so he actually got to set before we started that, and I fixed the problem. I thought about that afterwards, and I went, and that was 2013. I went, okay, I know how to be a producer now. Like, that to me was that moment, because I know 7 years earlier when I produced The Attic, that would have put me in the hospital. Like, I swear to God, I would have had a nervous breakdown and been like, like killed somebody. And I literally I fell back to sleep. I remember after I confirmed, I'm like, all right, I'll go back to sleep for a couple hours. So that proved to me at that point, it was like, yeah, I can handle any problem. I got 4.5 hours to get a sound guy, done, easy. And that guy's still a friend, a guy named Eugene Thompson. I'll give him a shout out. He was an awesome sound mixer. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad if you're doing a movie that's pretty much a thriller, and then it turns into a psychological thriller like The Alphabet Killer, because somebody's making you freak out.
Yeah.
That HQ, that's a filming platform that people can learn the ropes on how to pretty much be financially successful in film, correct?
Well, what it is, all right, so there's a site called Filmmaking Stuff, right? So I co-own that with Jason Brubaker, who was the person that originally started it, but we're equal partners. And then we started Filmmaking Stuff HQ for headquarters. So Filmmaking Stuff HQ. And it's every module, it's basically everything I know about producing a film. And so there's a monthly membership that people pay. But like, there's a free webinar coming up this Saturday. I think it's like 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific. But anyway, the reason I'm saying is, like, I give webinars on how to finance movies, and putting films together and things like that. But there's every module from concept, idea, raising money, producing, writing screenplays and stuff like that. And so we put this together over 6 years. And I think there's something like, 13 video modules that all have hours and hours of content on it. And it's just a fantastic way for people to learn it. They're really serious about filmmaking. Like, we even see, thanks for the picture. We even say, it's you shouldn't join Filmmaking Stuff HQ if you're just like sticking your toe in the water. Like, this is our members are the real people that are really making movies. So hopefully it keeps growing and expanding. Yeah.
I love that. The reason why I like that is not only are you busy and you're growing, you're constantly finding time to give back to show younger people and even established people the real ropes that they need to do, especially to succeed, because we all know that money is a huge root of all evil, but it's also a big concept of the film industry.
Yeah,
and
I don't think money's, not to get it all day, I don't think money's the root of all evil. I think that it's your relationship to it. And I think it's the way you're going to perceive it. You know what I mean? Because money can be used for the greatest things in the world. But, the Policini family, who my friend who passed away, I mean, opening wings in hospitals. They entirely funded the Missing Persons Foundation in New York State. and things like that. So it can be used for incredible things. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's the root of all evil. I think that it's your relationship to it and how you use it is, is the key. But hey, real quick, I just want to mention.
Agree with you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I 100% agree with you because that's like a phrase that just popped out of my head. And
Yeah.
after I just said it, I'm like, you're Todd, you're an idiot, dude.
Yeah.
It's like,
I wouldn't go
it's not
that
the
far,
root of
but
all evil. It helps you go out to dinner with some beautiful ladies. Like, money
there
can
you
do
go.
some great things.
I've thankfully
You
done
did
that.
write a great book, though, called Bankroll, that was considered pretty much one of the top books to read when it comes to finance. What made you decide to actually write that? That takes a little time to really do.
Well, what it was I love helping people. If you see this guy, John Cassavetes right there, I made that from a 60mm shot, blew it up. He's my idol. He created independent film in this country. It's like, him, Robert Evans, Marlon Brando. He created indie film. And that quote underneath, and thank you for saying they love my book, Bankroll. I appreciate the comment. It's like, it's talking about how, I'll actually read it to you, the quote, because I put that quote on there. And I like to act in films. I like to shoot them. I like to direct them. I like to be around them. I like the feel of it, and it's something I respect. It doesn't make any difference whether it's a crappy film or a good film. Anybody who can make a film, I already love. And so I love filmmakers, and I love that quote. And I start all my live shows and webinars with that. And the key is I was going out to Arts Deli, which is like one of my haunts in Studio City, and people would just email me, hey, can you tell me about film? And I would literally go out. It's many times they were broke. So I'm paying for lunch. So they're literally getting an hour of my time and I'm paying for lunch. And I had two young kids at the time, Ella and Tyler, who are now teenagers. And I think it was my ex at the time, my wife at the time, that she was saying, why don't you just like write a book or something? So then I could just point people to to read the book instead of, having to go out to lunch or take meetings and things like that. So that's how it initially started. And then, I went to Sundance. I remember one year, 2012, that's right when the second edition came out, and 13 people came up to me and said they had read the book. And one filmmaker said that their film was there because of my book, which I thought was really great, and I still love people coming up to me at the film markets and saying they read the book. I mean, now it's all the Filmmaking Stuff HQ website, but the people that read the book at the time, I'm just honored and flattered. Put that way.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that feels like. I mean, I guess the closest comparison to that is when you're a teacher. My father was a teacher, and he said the minute he knew people were listening is when he turned around and all heads were up looking.
That's
and
right.
that must have been that moment that you wrote a book knowing you wanted to help people, but to actually hear it from somebody that you never really knew come up to you and tell you, I'm here because of your book. That must have felt so huge for you.
It's great. I love seeing it. And I love, and it paid residuals. I mean, and I don't just mean cash residuals. I mean, life residuals, and then there's directors, Mike Flanagan is a perfect example, who did Oculus and The House on the Hill and the last, the Shining sequel, which I forget the heck, Dr. Sleep. He directed all those movies. His first movie was called Absentia, that my buddy Morgan produced by reading my book and then producing the film. And so Mike Flanagan as a director was started because of that. And I mean, I remember after he did that movie, because they invited me to set on the last day to just, be there and celebrate the fact that they got it done. And I remember I had Facebook messages from him, hey man, can you hire me as director if you're ever looking for a director? And now it's like, I think it'd be the other way around. I'd be like, hey, can you direct my movie? So yeah, he's a horror film icon now. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving the fact that you have different genres that you work on. We'll talk about some of them now. I know some of the people will love to hear. Let's talk about the movie Love and Dancing.
Sure.
Great movie, great cast. I was a huge Amy Smart fan, still am today. My favorite movie of hers still today is Just Friends.
Just Friends.
Yeah, because I'm a Christmas buffoon, and when I watch that movie, it's just completely. But you guys had a great camaraderie in that movie. How was your relationship off camera? Was it friendly, and it was just very easy to talk and work with her at the same time?
It was extremely confrontational, daily fights, coffee in my face. No, I'm just kidding. She was great. Just a beautiful human being, a sweetheart. I couldn't say anything bad about her if you paid me. I mean, she was just great. and just really, you know, was fantastic in that role of the teacher that slowly comes. If you watch the movie again, you'll notice like literally hair and makeup and wardrobe. Like we had her hair up and we had her in glasses in the beginning, and as the movie goes on, hair color starts to come down a little bit, a little more makeup, glasses are gone, and by the end, she's just more and more beautiful. Like we're hiding the beauty to let that out for the whole movie because that goes along with the plot. But just looking at little things like that definitely make a difference in the film. So yeah.
It's funny that you're saying that, because those little things you just said make a huge difference, because that's pretty much that kind of like, that was for the guys. That was that hot for teacher thing. You see her looking all sexy. I think, right, you remember that film, right? She's just sitting there, and then it starts coming down, and the guys are like, oh, damn. Damn. All right.
She was a doll. Yeah, very nice.
Did you have to, a lot of actors study their roles off camera. Did you have to, were you following somebody who may have been deaf to really learn the role of what it meant to be impaired as somebody who can really hear?
Yeah, so 100%. It was based on a real guy. I mean, like that idea. So here's the side story: is that I saw a West Coast Swing dance competition back in like 2000, and I remember my buddy Robert Royston, who, funny enough, produced the film with me, but now he's choreographing Ask Me to Dance. He was Taylor Swift's choreographer. He's a 14-time U.S. Open champion.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so he was competing, and this other guy, John Lindo, who's also a world champion, was competing. And I remember watching it, and then they were announced as like second and third. And I was like, what the hell how are they second and third? And the person that won, I thought was good, but he wasn't as good as those two. And so he did like the winning dance, like a little exhibition. And somebody else was like, that guy's deaf. And I'm like, no way. And so in 2000, 9 years before I did the movie, I had this concept. What if I start the whole movie with this deaf, you know, and he wasn't deaf like born deaf. That's different. You know what I mean? He had gone deaf, the real guy. And that was the way the guy was in the movie. I thought, what about this world champion that kind of won, but never felt he really deserved it, you know? And when I first met Jeremy, was his name, and I asked him about that, he goes, yeah, I didn't think I should have won that one. Like, so he even knew it. And so that started the entire film idea from there. And there it was. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the crazy part about it is he was a renowned dancer, and we'll get into that in a sec. And it's crazy how when you can't hear, how are you making it to the beat? How are you dancing to the music? And I have spoken to people that are deaf, because it was at a school that my father taught at, and they said they can actually feel the vibrations in their feet from some of the music if the bass is played loud enough, and they can relate to it. And I'm like, that's crazy. And so that's a great role that you played. And then, which I did a thing for you, Alphabet Killers. Okay, amazing cast. First of all, Timothy Hutton. I was a huge fan of his because one of my favorite movies is Taps. Right.
That's his first movie. Yeah.
And he grew from there, and he is a very diverse actor. And along with Michael Ironside, and then you had Oscar winner Melissa Leo. Great cast.
I mean, yeah, and we had Carrie Elways. We had the Princess Bride. You know, we became good friends afterwards. And lost touch, but you know, it's like it was a great cast. Eliza Dushku, Tim Hutton. Tim Hutton, I was a fan. For me, it was Ordinary People. I think it's like Ordinary People to me is the top 10 movies of all time. I mean, that's like the best family drama of all time. And you know, it was great. We didn't have any scenes together, but how funny is this? And this goes to show, because I'm one of the actors in Ask Me to Dance, right? But I always said it's like if we found a huge star, I'd put him in there. The key with Tim Hutton is that I wrote this awesome role of the killer in the Alphabet Killer. I guess I'm rooting a part of the movie. And I looked, and when the script was done, I went, God, that role is so good. We got to give a bigger star. And so I literally gave the role to Tim Hutton because people were jabbing me, because the joke is the character that I played kisses Eliza Dushku in the movie, and Eliza's gorgeous, right? And they were like, would you write it so you kiss Eliza? And it's like, of course, I just started saying to people like, yeah, I just started giving in. Like, yeah, but the joke is, one, I don't know who the hell we were going to cast. You know what I mean? Could have been anybody. But two, I wrote Tim's role for myself. And then once we got done, I'm like, that is such a juicy role. And so we got Tim Hutton. You know what I mean? Like, and so I played kind of more standard cop role, which everybody loved. It was my guy was really tightly wound and kind of keeping stuff inside in that movie. But you know, so Tim was great. Yeah, I haven't talked to him in years, but he's a good dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, Elijah.
And yes,
Yeah.
Ordinary People #1. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Sorry. Yeah.
Hopefully, if Elijah actually sees this interview, Elijah, if you're single, I'm single. I think we're the same age, so.
Oh, Elijah. No, she's. You know, we were super tight. We lived in her house when we first moved out to LA, and because she was engaged to somebody else, but now she's married with. I think she has a second kid on the way. In Boston, so she's out of the running. Yeah, she's DQ'd. DQ'd.
Damn, Elijah, what you man got to do with me? No,
yeah, I'll let her know that the next time I see her.
yeah. It'll be like Bring It On 3. I'll be like, great. That's all I need right now. Now you also develop a great distribution company called Glass House Distribution Company. Tell us about that, because you're just moving. So tell me about that company that you created.
Well, you know, it was started as in 2015, and it was a guy named Brian Glass that I was talking with, and the fun story there is that this email went to spam. So that's why I always tell people to check their spam folder. It's my entire Glass House company that now has 7 people in it that started from an email that went to spam, and I was looking for something else, right? And so I reached out to him, and he reached out to me. He had read my book, so there's more residuals, and he said he thought about film distribution, and so we talked it over. And I said, yeah, let's start a distribution company. I've been going to film markets for years. This last year, if it wasn't canceled due to COVID, it would have been my 15th year going to the American film market. And so, and I've been to the Cannes Film Festival 8 times now. It'll be, you know, theoretically 9 with the virtual one coming up, but. And so bottom line is we just started building it. So in my condo at the time, it was me and the financier, and now it's 7 people in the company, and we just don't open a TV division. So we mostly do foreign sales. And, I'm a huge fan of the company. I just love the people that are in it, and they bust their ass. And that's like become such a big part of my life. And even the film that I'm talking about, directing, it's like the foreign sales will be handled by Glass House. So it's like, because we're so skilled in foreign sales. US is different. We're closing a deal with a major distributor. But that's a completely different story. So.
Well, you know what? We're hitting a lot. Let's talk about your directorial debut, because I wanted to bring that up later in the interview. This is the perfect time. It shoots in a month. It's your first ever directorial debut. That's obviously accepted that means. What made you decide to go behind the camera and put something great together and really have your vision come out on film?
There's a couple of reasons. First off was that I remember there was this woman named Elle Canner. She was the casting director of Friends, and she had directed a really, really funny show called Dropping the Soap that Glass House picked up, and we won the Emmy for. We won the Emmy for Jane Lynch was the lead, so she won Best Actress in a Web Series Comedy, right? Yeah. And so I had asked her to direct this a couple of years back when I first wrote it, and she loved the script and came back and said, you really need somebody that loves the dancing in this movie, that loves West Coast Swing and knows West Coast Swing. Now, and thank you, Dean, I trained in dancing under Robert Royston for years, and I used to compete in the advanced levels of West Coast Swing, and so I love to dance. And comedy, God, I've been doing comedy since, I'm not kidding, maybe 6 or 7 years old in front of people. And graduated from the IO West, and which was the the improv school. It's like Second City, IO West, and Upright Citizens Brigade. Same place as Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Chris Rock. And so I still do live shows, comedy, improv comedy. So there was that part. Then, funny enough, it was the second person. It was Rob Iskov, who I asked to direct, who directed Love and Dancing, and he was the director of She's All That, which was a great movie, very light comedy, much like Love and Dancing, which was light comedy. This, however, is not light comedy. This is like comedy. Like, it's really a hilarious dating movie. And when he talked, where we met for lunch at Arts Deli, it's always at Arts Deli, and he's telling about his ideas for the movie and like changing everything. And I just got this feeling of, okay, here it is again. Here's my idea for the movie, and here's the director that I bring in that goes in this other direction. Now, I will say, as an exception to that, one of the people on here, Dean Ronalds, the director, was possibly the only film. I did a movie called #Screamers that was a found footage horror that I loved. That was the only film that from conception to finalization was exactly what we both wanted. That was the only time I've ever synergized. Every other movie, like Alphabet Killer, was probably 30% of what I envisioned. Love and Dancing is probably 25% of what I envisioned. So I thought to myself, I want to make a movie where it's my vision of this, you know, because I have such a vision for the comedy. Comedy's my thing, and West Coast Swing is my thing. So it's like one of those things that were perfect, you know, that we could kind of merge together. And I'm not giving up my shot here, to quote Hamilton. And, you know, I had a dear friend, a guy named Greg Policini, pass away, and he was a financier of some of my films and one of my best friends. And he made me swear I would do a comedy, you know, even though he loved Love and Dancing. This was my only comedy. I had done mostly horror movies at that point. That was a very light comedy. And yes, Courtney, we are going to kick ass. One of the actresses on here. He made me promise that I would do a laugh out loud comedy. So this is it. We're doing a laugh out loud comedy, and nobody's going to F with my vision for the movie. Like, meaning there's no directors kind of come in and be like, well, we should shoot it on this way. You know, no, it's like, this is it. And I feel like ultimately this is going to be a huge winner.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have more of the power now, not only directing, you're writing part of it, you're producing, you actually get the funding for it. So it's a film that, like you said, like you'll take constructive criticism, you love opinions, but at the end of the day, sometimes the vision of the person who really is putting this together is what is going to come out of you, because nobody can get into your head.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty much impossible.
Yes.
So I think this is great.
Thanks,
it's called Ask Me to Dance.
Ask Me to Dance. Yeah, and just to your point, I'll just say that 100% agree. It's that, you know, you need somebody. It's great to hear feedback and all that stuff, to get opinions, and, you know, everybody's got many opinions. But the bottom line is you need somebody that's steering the ship. You need the quarterback of the team, and that has a vision for the movie, you know. And for me, I visualize this movie so many times, the comedy, the things, you know, every beat and every beat of the dancing, you know. And I even have the idea of how to shoot the dancing, and I've discussed that with the DP. So the bottom line is, it's yeah, I think that's when movies succeed.
Yeah, and 100% agree with you. Now, I love that you're saying comedy. Now, a great comedic actor is Mario Cantone. I think he's like Sex and the City was iconic series on HBO, right? But
he's
when
in the
they brought
reboot.
Mario in, he took the comedy to another level. He brought the LGBTQ community more into the filming of watching it, and he put a twist into this, and he just made his role so much more funny and more engaging that I think the fans were asking for his character to be on more on Sex and the City.
And, well, he's a bigger role in the reboot. He's got in the major roles in the reboot Sex and the City. In fact, that's one of the reasons we have to shoot by the end of May, is because he's shooting in June, Sex and the City. But I think, you know, Mario, I was a fan of his comedy. I hate to say I've never seen an episode of Sex and the City. I just never have. But yeah, I'm sorry. But the bottom line is, I've seen him live at Caroline's Comedy Club in New York City, and just hysterical, great improvisation. Just a really funny thing. If you ever see his stand-up where he makes fun of Michael Jackson and the shaman, you know, like how that's translated as come on. Like, does anybody talk that way? Like, shaman, everybody, shaman, you know, and let's go outside. It's hilarious. Like, so I'm just a huge fan of his comedy. Again, also, you know, not to just, I mean, I love my actors already. You know, 40 years on here that's, you know, studying and working, Jason Chambers, all these people that are working. Mario Cantone, his role has a lot of dancing, and he linked up with Robert Royston on his own when after made the introduction, and he's training 3 days a week for the rest of this month. We're not, I mean, that wasn't part of the contract, part of anything. He's doing it so he looks good in the movie that's shooting next month. So
yeah, and that shows you right there what kind of actor he is.
Yep, yeah. Julianne Arrieta is another one she's also trained. She's flying to New York to do training. So I just love the dedication. It just goes to show, I think everybody's trying to make something incredible here.
Yeah, and you know, and I love that you said that, because there's so many great actors out there. I mean, there really is. But then there's ones that take it to another level that never change the way they train, no matter how much money they make. they just don't. Your Al Pacinos, your Liam Neesons, your De Niro's. A lot of people told me all these stories about these guys that when you work with them, as fun as the people they are, their technique and training for roles never changes. And that's why they're spot on. And that's so cool that after, and you haven't even been out here that long. I mean, it's not a lot, like 15 to 20 years. It's not a long, long time. That's why I'm still laughing. Somebody gave you a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
That, you
I was
know,
shocked. I was shocked as well.
I just, I just don't even understand that. It's like, listen, I think the
I'll
next
take it.
step for you is
Yep.
the AARP membership program.
Yeah, yeah. They're gonna start putting me in the old age home. But no, look at. I remember as a kid looking at the top people, the top actors, and watching them, and not being intimidated even then. Like watching them and be like, I'm just as good as they are. Like it's not. People have asked me like, oh, how's it going? All their celebrity friends, and it's like, you know what? Like most of them, the ones that I love are the character actors, like Larry Hankin, like was a friend for years who played, he was Kramer on Seinfeld with the show within a show. If you could picture that actor, he's been in 300 movies. Michael Caine, people like that. Even though I'm not friends with Michael Caine, but the other people that are great supporting actors. Versus when I see the other people that I hung out with, one of my Facebook profile pictures is Jack Black punching me in the groin because I play in his celebrity poker tournament every year. It's like those people, I go, bring it, baby, bring the A game. It's like, I'll prove I'm just as good as you anytime. Like Elizabeth Moss is one of the best actors in the country right now, nominated for Emmy every year. And when we did my film, The Attic, I played a character that had Asperger's, and I gained 30 pounds and studied all these people, met with all these people that had like serious case of Asperger's, autism. Yeah. And the movie got banned by critics because I think the director really wanted to make an art house film and I wanted to make a horror movie, and I didn't have any power back then. Another example of a film not being my vision. But my role was the only, every time they would rip it, they would be like, but the actor that played Frankie was great. You know what I mean? So it's just like, when I was on set with these major stars, Tim Hutton, Carrie Elways, all that, I just want to prove I'm better or as good, well, I'm better, but just that I can do it and blow them out of the park. That's always been my thing, is just, is making it happen. So to all the actors, I'll say, I already know my style of directing is, you better bring your A game, because I'm not there to hold anybody's hand. It's just like, you come on set, you got your lines ready, let's do this, and hopefully the only screw ups are going to be a camera department, or else we just want to try to take a different angle or different coverage or something like that. So yeah.
Well, I'm loving the words and you say, and we're almost unfortunately I'm getting this red light thing. I hate studios with red lights, man. It pisses me off. I wish I had a BB gun. I'd be like, shut up.
Yeah.
But Tom, this show is getting bigger and bigger. I'm already talking to networks. Just, little thing here and there. I definitely want to bring you back. After this film is out, I'm gonna go see it. I mean, I'm excited for
Thanks,
you.
Chris.
You have so many great things coming on. Yeah, and I'm impressed, man. Not a lot of people impress me. You impress me. You really do.
Oh, thanks. Look at the bottom line is, thank you, Chris. Here's my theory, and I'll just give you, this is a good, maybe I always, I used to be a motivational speaker for kids years ago. I spoke to over 100,000 kids. And this is going back 15 years. But the one thing so I have to give a piece of motivation. The one thing I'll say to anybody that's listening is, there's a comic routine by a guy named Brian Regan, one of the best comics. Thank you, Charlie. I'm thanking the people on here. That he says he would watch the ants building a hill when he was a kid. And they'd be building a hill. And he goes, every once in a while, he would just take his hand and be like, rebuild. And he goes, there was never this moment where the ants were like, oh, come on. Like they literally went and just started rebuilding. They didn't even think about it, just went. And I have used that in my career in every aspect of it. There is not one second where if, this falls out or this actor, where I go, oh, this sucks. And then lay in bed for 2 weeks or something like that. I immediately go, all right, let's go this way. Like, that's it. It's it, man. It's like that's all you have to do every single time in the film business. Is this project falls through, you pick up this project, and you never take that moment. So I've always looked at myself as an ant in the film business. Like, this happens, all you do is now find a solution, next solution, next solution, next solution, and just keep finding that maze path until you get to your goals in life. And I hope everybody on here does the same.
That is like the perfect way to really end this thing. Seriously, I
Thank you,
love
sir.
when people end like that. It's awesome.
Great.
If you guys don't know, we've been chopping it up with Tom Malloy. You can find him on Instagram at Tom
Thank you,
Malloy.
Courtney. Yes.
Definitely follow him. He's got a lot of great films coming up from now and to the future. Follow me at Todd Wharton Official, WHARTON, at FaceTime with Todd Wharton. I interview celebrities 5 days a week. This is our first season, and it's going great right now. We got guys like Tom and everybody else. And to give you guys coming up, tomorrow we got a great recording artist, Mike Cans from Death Squad and the Boot Camp Clips going to be here. And then Friday for Growing Up Hip Hop, the daughter of the legendary Kid Capri, Miss Vina Love, R&B star, is going to be here on Friday. So, Tom, it's been an honor to have you here tonight. I'm definitely going to call you offline once I leave the studio to thank you as always. I have to do that. Yeah, you got to talk to me for another couple of minutes. What do you like?
No, that's great. That's great. And let me ask you this: where for the other ones, because I want to see the guy from Police Academy. How do we see your old video? Are they on your Instagram?
Just go to Todd Wharton Official right here on Instagram, and all my past full interviews are there, along with the comedic promos.
Yeah.
And coming up, it's all there because because this interview will be available within 5 minutes. I'm going to have it on Instagram because not a lot of people can be around live, but it gives them the incentive to actually watch what they missed. And I want all my stars and everybody who's on here to continually be looked at, and people can actually get to know you as human beings.
Thank you. Yes.
Film, which I love. And guys out there, we're all going through it right now. I say it all the time. Please wear your mask. Practice social distancing. I don't like doing it either, but I'd rather do it for the next maybe 8 months so I can have another 50 years so I can see you all again instead of keep procrastinating because nobody wants to do it. Yeah. Right? We're all in this together. You know, we're humans, no matter who you are, race, color, which is both the same thing, gender. Just please do what you do so we can all meet each other up one day, and hopefully one day I can get a beer with Tom here and just celebrate what he's doing.
I'm really good at that, by the way. Just
good. That's what I want to hear. I'll bring the beer. I promise. I promise. So guys, have a great night. I'll see you all tomorrow night. And like we always say at the end of the show, if you're not living a passionate life, then whose life are you living? Guys, I'll see you tomorrow night. Take care, Tom.
Take care. Okay, brother.